You have a YouTube channel too?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay. It's still in the works.
This might be the first one.
Oh my gosh.
We've gathered here today because I'm going to be updating a utility box, and I told people I was going to do it tomorrow, and then I totally forgot until like earlier today. So we're gonna prepare for that. Basically what happened is 2 years ago to the day I painted this utility box in my town, and shortly afterwards they added this fun little extra box to the back. And that's the thing that happens with public work. Like, they're free to change it, alter it, get rid of it, whatever, without telling you. But they did it shortly after I had painted it, so I was a little bit like, oh, they covered my hard work. But I also didn't have the energy to fix it at the time. But now I don't know if I would say I had the energy, but I have the determination. And a couple months ago, I went to see it with my friend. I took this little video, and you can see there is some damage to the outside, like some scribbles. So what I'm really hoping to do tomorrow is to clean up the art from the existing utility box and then add to that little backpack. And one of you on Instagram told me that it would look cool if I did a color block situation. So I made this little sketch, and this is my plan. I want to make the backpack part white and have red flowers and use the same dark blue outline color for the outline. So that is my plan. Again, it's about 4 p.m. the day before I want to paint, and I'm also hoping tomorrow the painting will only take 4 to 5 hours at most. I'm going to show up at 9 a.m. and see what happens. In my head, the process is going to be clean and prime the small portion while the primer dries, clean the regular box, maybe do some fix-ups, and then just paint on the small portion and go home. When I did the utility box 2 years ago, I did it all in one day. I think from 8 to 4 is what it took. So this is just a smaller portion. I think it will go by quicker. And last time I used an oil-based primer, which took 2 hours to dry. And this time I'm going to be using a water-based primer that I've used before, and it dries much quicker. All of that is to say, welcome to my first YouTube situation. I'm going to be taking you through the process of how I plan for these projects. It's kind of chaos, but I think it's good for you to see what I do, because I think a lot of the times people see projects and they think it's inaccessible or they can't do that. But I really try to stress that I try to use materials I already have or borrow from people, and just try to be conscious not to buy more than I need, because I'm already donating my time and my talents to paint this utility box. I don't need to be spending more of my money. So I'm actually going to go to my website right now, because I wrote a blog post that has a checklist of what to bring when you're painting a utility box, and I don't want to think. I just want to check off things and go by quickly. So I'll put this link in my description, but I have a blog called How to Paint a Utility Box in 10 Easy Steps, and when you click there, you can see, where is it? Boop. At the bottom. At the bottom, I have a little supply list, so I'm going to click there. I have a PDF version where you can check off boxes and also add your own to the list. So I'm actually just going to print this out and use that to see if I have everything. Another thing about my utility box is when I did it, I didn't cover it with any anti-graffiti coating, which is just like a varnish you can put on your outdoor murals and protects your painting. If people do get graffiti on it and someone cleans it off, it basically adds a layer. I didn't do that to this one originally, and I did it to my last utility box, which was kind of like an extra annoying step at the time, but I think I'm gonna add that onto this one at the end just to help protect it a little bit more. So I'm gonna go get this list and we're gonna go through it. Okay, so this is the list of things I created and recommend that you bring when you're doing an outdoor mural or utility box, and I left some space for you to pack your own things. It starts off with like the paint supplies and then ends with a hat and sunscreen or headphones, because they're important, but they can be kind of lost in the planning process. So I'm just gonna start in my office and check off what I can find and start gathering it into a pile. The first thing on this list, painter's tape. I also have chalk, which I know is on my list. And when I'm sketching outside, I like to use, or like on big surfaces or walls, I like to use like wooden pencils, because the mechanical pencil lead is just so thin and it breaks and it's not easy to work with. Do you agree? So I'm just gonna pack a regular pencil and then a red pencil. Sometimes it's nice to use a colored pencil just so you can see what's happening. The only other thing I think I have in my office are paper towels, and everything else we're gonna find in my garage. Welcome to my garage. The first thing I'm gonna do is find an empty tote, because my #1 tip is to always put your paint in a tote if you're traveling. You don't wanna just have paint cans willy-nilly in your car, even if you think you've hammered it enough. I've seen it enough times where whole paint gallons just spill over over cars. So what we do to prevent that is put it in a tote with a lid. So I'm just gonna get one. This one seems free. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, we love the garage. And then I did actually go through and found this stuff that I'm going to be reusing from last time. This paint is the same paint that I used on my last utility box. Oh, so I definitely do have to buy paint. I have to buy the dark blue color I used to outline, but other than that, this is the primer I'm gonna use. This is the mineral spirits to clean, the yellow color, have a green color down here. Let's go through our checklist. Paint tray inserts, large trash bags, gallon Ziploc bags. So on here I said heavy duty cleaner optional, and that's just if you don't want to use mineral spirits. So I'm going to cross that out. In rags. This is a bag of rags, so I'm going to mark that. I have metal scrapers in this bin, sandpaper, rollers. Have these, and we must have the handle somewhere. Wire brushes, drop cloth. Okay, so just by going through the things in my garage, I've checked off a lot of this list that I already have. So I'm going to do a whole intake right now and put everything into this bin, which you don't know, but you've been on the whole time. I realized I did not put hammer on the list, so that's something I'm going to add. Hammer is nice when you're done using your paint. You can try to jam the lid on as much as possible, so. After assessing everything, I think I need stir stick, blue paint from Home Depot, and the anti-graffiti coating. I did forget that all my paintbrushes are upstairs. Got my brushes, and I also found a broom. I kind of feel like a little squirrel going through my house, just like collecting things I need, but honestly, it's working out great. I am losing steam though. I've had a busy day, and I just want to get my Home Depot trip over with, so we're doing that. The other great thing about me vlogging this adventure before is I took pictures of the paint color I used last time, so I don't have to guess what blue color I need. I know it's like something called Starless Night. I took a screenshot. So this should be a very quick trip. Of course, there was a whole family in the paint section literally letting their kids run around through all the colors, and I just kind of had to like force my way in. I was looking for a little swatch that I could show them, but since I had the name, they were able to mix the same Starless Night for me, which is really cool. And I got my stir sticks, but unfortunately they didn't have the anti-graffiti coating, and the girl Ayana was like super awesome and helpful, but yeah, they didn't have it, and I called another store and they don't have it, so I'm just not gonna do it. We're nixing it. And also, as I was leaving, I ran into my dad, so that was kind of funny. That was a bit of a bummer about the anti-graffiti coating, but like I said, it's optional, so it's not enough of a bummer for me to solve that problem by tomorrow. I'm just not gonna do it. Something that I'm also adding to my list last minute is Dawn soap, because I want to clean the parts of the box that I've already painted, and I don't want to use mineral spirits for that. Do you think that's a good process? I wish I could take you with me. My friend Emily is also going to be hanging out with me during the day, just because I don't like being by myself while I'm painting on the street. You know what I mean? So she's very graciously spending her day with me, so I'm gonna text her in a bit, give the address, tell her some things to bring, like water, snacks, a hat, maybe a little blanket. I'm gonna bring a chair for her to sit in. Hopefully she can get some behind the scenes footage for this. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that was about an hour of prep work I did for the mural painting tomorrow. Thanks to this checklist, I don't have to do a lot of thinking about it. I feel confident knowing that all of this is in my car in a tub, and today I'm going to feed myself and get enough sleep for tomorrow. It's the morning of the mural. It's about 7:45. I have 30 more minutes at my house, and then I'm gonna start leaving and heading over there. And I just wanted to go over the last minute things on my checklist, the things that couldn't really get together before. It's just the last date on the list that you can kind of wait until the day. One of them is the printed design mock-up, and actually I recommend having a printed design when you're doing normal murals so that you don't have to keep checking your phone, because you want to use your phone to listen to music or film videos and content, and it's just easier to have paper versions that you can pass out. But But that being said, I'm not gonna use a printed mock-up today just because what I'm creating is the same design just on another part of the box, so I don't really need a mock-up to look at. I've got headphones, I've got food and snacks, and I'm actually having someone from my family deliver sandwiches around noon, so that's what I mean when I say like use your resources. If you can have someone bring you food so you don't have to leave your utility box in progress, that's great. I have sunglasses, I have a hat, my camera is my phone, I put sunscreen on my face and I put it on my arms and hands anywhere where the sun's gonna get me, and I also have a big thing of water. So that is where I'm at. I usually wear overalls when I'm painting, but I've painted 3 days this week, so I've just got some cute socks, some jeans that have been painted on before, and this jacket, which I got paint on earlier this week, so it's now a painting jacket. I'm going to grab some breakfast, ask my dad where the roller handles are because I think he was the last one using them, and get going. I'm heading out to get coffee for Emily and I, and then I'm gonna be at the site around 9 a.m. Everything on my checklist is accounted for, and overall I added a hammer, scissors, and Dawn soap to the supply list, so good to know.
Morning, is there any breakfast I can get started for you?
Can I get a grande hot matcha latte and then a grande hot vanilla latte, and that'll be it. Thank you.
You have a YouTube channel too?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay. It's still in the works.
This might be the first one.
Oh my gosh. You should also shout out this funeral home in your YouTube video for all your funeral needs.
Welcome to the voiceover part of the video. So as you can see, I am priming the smaller box, and I have a brush that I'm using for the edges and along the hinges, like right here. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you're more than welcome to use blue painter's tape. That's what I did on my first utility box. After I had a first coat of primer on that box, I went over to my original portion and tried to cover up the graffiti. There was just some markings that I thought I could cover, so I did the flower as well. And then I'll talk about this issue later, but basically the paint color had just doled out for the 2 years it had been on the box. So when I tried to just cover it nicely with some splotches, it looked super splotchy and messy. So we had to paint over the whole thing, which was fine, but you know, one of those problems I had to solve kind of on the spot. And then once the main part of the box was drying, I went over and just started painting some flowers. At this stage, I was just bouncing around between different elements, letting certain parts dry as I painted other bits. Here I started off with the light pink flowers, and then I went back to those dark red flowers because those needed about 3 coats of paint. While I have you here, I wanted to share my top 5 tips for painting a utility box. And again, if you want to read this or grab that supply list that I talked about, the link is in my bio to my blog. But the first tip I have is to do your research. If you don't know what to paint, that's okay. Usually towns have a theme, or if they don't, even just looking at other boxes in your area are going to give you a good idea of what other artists are doing. And if you want to fit the vibe of that, that's kind of what I did. This project was called In Bloom, so I quite literally just put flowers over the whole thing. My second tip is to, of course, use any supplies you have. I luckily only had to buy a couple things for this project, but even that 1 quart of paint was $25, and again, that doesn't account for my time that I'm spending painting, so just be mindful of that. The third thing I recommend are headphones, or just one of those little earbuds that you can pop in your ear just to drown out some background noise. Again, this could be dangerous if you're painting alone on the street, so try to have a friend with you. That was tip number 5, is to bring a friend, but also just recruit people to help you set up or film, or to bring you snacks. It can all be really helpful and useful, because otherwise you would have to pack up everything if you need a break. It would just be more inconvenient. The 5th and final tip I have is to bring 1 to 2 brushes per paint color and extra Ziploc bags. This is because when you're painting on site, most times you're not going to have direct access to water. So what I like to do is to bring more paint brushes than I think are necessary, and that way I can just throw them into the bags and keep them moist until I get home. And also right now, I just want to shout out Emily, my assistant, filming assistant, painting assistant, all the above, because right now you can see there are no wings on this bee, and that's just because I totally forgot. And at the very, very last minute, Em was like, "You gonna put wings on that?" I wasn't gonna say anything, but are you gonna do it? And I was like, "Oh, you're right. I was just gonna leave and have a wingless bee." And this is the very last step of painting the box. I was just adding some texture into the flowers, which this is not totally my style anymore, but I think it blends with the box, so I did it. And then once that was done, there's M. Again, thank you. Here is the box. I'm so happy with how she turned out. I think she looks super cute. I'm back from the utility box and I wanted to give you a little debrief. I got back around 1 and then I stuffed my face with the rest of the sandwich I had, but that means I was only painting for around 4 hours, which is shorter than I thought it was gonna take. And I still have all my supplies in my car, but the only thing left for me to do is wash out my brushes. Overall, I think the project went really well. There were a couple people that shouted at us from the street and gave us words of encouragement, so that's always pretty fun. Thankfully, no weirdos, but there were a couple of older men who were like, "Oh, are you painting?" As I'm holding a brush painting, and I turned to Emily and I was like, is it not obvious that I'm painting? Like, what do I do with that? The only thing that didn't quite go to plan was I'd kept the original red color from the utility box and I thought I could just paint over any markings or graffiti that were there. But in the 2 years that it had been out in the sun, that color had dulled and it didn't have the same sheen, so it looked really obvious. And then I thought I could just quickly do some patchwork, but then that looked not great, and I just decided that while the white primer was drying, Emily and I would just go over the box in one more coat of red, which wasn't something I was planning on doing, but I think it was the right decision and it made the whole box look like it got a whole refresh. So I'm really happy with that. I'm really exhausted after painting days. I kind of just want to lay in my bed and not talk to anyone, but I wanted to get this out first and also show you what it looks like when I'm done painting, because I literally don't want to talk to anyone. But I am probably going to take a shower, lay in bed, maybe post some of the photos I took on social media, and then this is the last project I had planned for the year for 2022, so I am done. The interesting thing about this was this utility box was the first big painting project I ever took on 2 years ago, so to come at it again with 2 years of experience and be able to just go, oh, boop, 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 done, and have this, that's great. My contact at the city did also ask for photos, so I'm gonna send her some of those today, and then I'm gonna take a nap. I hope this was helpful or insightful at all. This is my first YouTube video, so if it didn't work out, it didn't work out, but we gave it our best shot.